It's time for MacBreak Weekly. I'm back, baby. Alex Lindsay is here. Andy Ihnatko. And man, do we have rumors. New MacBook Pros this week, new iPad next week, and I hear Verizon's got an iPhone. We'll have the details and more coming up. MacBreak Weekly's next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for MacBreak Weekly is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is MacBreak Weekly, episode 235, recorded February 22nd, 2011. Bad clam on the French side. MacBreak Weekly is brought to you by GoToMeeting. Improve your conference calls and keep everyone on the same page when you share your screen with GoToMeeting. For your free 30-day trial, visit gotomeeting.com/MacBreak. And by Carbonite. Backing up the files on your PC and Mac is safe and easy with Carbonite. For a free trial plus 2 free months with purchase, go to carbonite.com. Offer code MacBreak. And by Squarespace.com, the fast and easy way to publish a high-quality website or blog. For a free 14-day trial, go to squarespace.com/MacBreak. It's time for MacBreak Weekly, the show that covers everything that's coming out of Cupertino. Ladies and gentlemen, my good friend Alex Lindsay, who held down the fort for me. Actually, you both did, didn't you? While I was gone, thank you, Alex, from the Pixel Core.
Yeah, we took turns. It was good.
It was very nice. Also here, we're just the core group today. Andy Ihnatko from the Chicago Sun-Times. Hello, Andrew.
Hello, gentlemen.
Thanks to both of you for yeoman. Yeoman implies that it was only pedestrian. For a stellar job in my absence. In fact, I was getting tweets saying, "Don't come back."
Well, all I can say is that we just had a great time doing it, and we're so glad that you're back.
No. There's at least a dozen people who are not.
Yeah, well, there's a dozen people who are not, and if we continue to do it, there'd be 100 that
somebody
would
said,
be like, when is Leo coming back?
Said, not that I'm taking this personally, but somebody said, "Thank you, Leo, for abandoning the show." To people who actually love the Mac. Tom Merritt, did Tom Merritt also fill in? I know he filled in on Twitter and a lot of other shows. I don't know what happened while I was gone, by the way. I was in a stupor.
I think it was either Andy or I.
I was in a pisco sour stupor for 3 weeks. You know, I think everybody should do this.
We were like all traipsing the globe because I was in Spain last week for Mobile World Congress while I was out. Alex, you were out the week before that, weren't you?
Yeah,
because you were someplace.
Yeah, we were all over the place.
We were a traveling crew. Yeah. I was in Patagonia. Wait a minute, I was wearing the sweater and hat before, but it got too warm. I'll put the hat back on. This is from Montevideo, Uruguay.
I just want to have a I want a house in Patagonia.
Just the name Patagonia.
Well,
doesn't that sound cool?
It's because the Dread Pirate Roberts has a house in Patagonia.
Well, Patagonia is a lot of room there. I mean, there's everything from desert to rainforest to Andean mountains.
I just want to say I've been retired for 5 years and have a house in Patagonia.
Yeah, to beaches.
I need to have one
for tax purposes.
Yes, exactly.
So I'm being informed now that pisco sours are not on my diet. By the way, I don't care. It was basically an induced coma for 3 weeks.
I really don't believe that hard alcohol has any carbohydrates or calories in it.
Some's worse than others. But anyway, I did allow myself a glass of wine at meals because, you know, South American wine. I was drinking Argentinian Malbec. Chilean Reds. Really good wine.
I like Malbec.
I love Malbec. But, I mean, I was having fantastic wine. I met a lot of people. Among the people that I met, Loic Lemur, who, of course, as you know, is the guy at Seismic, sent me an email saying, "You have to meet my friend A. Martino." Mariano A. Martino is a blogger in Buenos Aires and an entrepreneur and a really great guy. And so we went to lunch at La Dorita. I had a kind of a spontaneous meetup. I just said, I'm at a cafe, and people showed up. And then I had lunch with Mariano and a bunch of Argentinian entrepreneurs. It was great conversation. Of course, it's a little difficult to be an entrepreneur in Argentina. But I said, you know, you have such a great opportunity, say, compared to Europe, where there's, you know, multiple languages, at least in most of South America, Spanish is spoken. And so you have a fairly large market. And they invited me to an Argentinian startup, and we're going to take advantage of it today Maybe this is something we'll do on a regular basis. It's a Twitter poll system called Followers. Oops. There it is. Followers with a P, POLLOWERS.com. Now, it's a closed beta right now, but I'm pushing them to open it up. Because what it allows you to do is post a poll question. Now, last week, actually 2 weeks ago, when the Daily came out, I posed the question, will you pay for the Daily? Rupert Murdoch's iPad magazine, 67.5% of the votes, and this was in a 1 hour period, by the way. 67% of the people said no way, 6% said yeah, about 25% said, well, we'll see. So I thought that was kind of interesting. We're going to do a poll today, and we'll do it for the next 24 hours. They have kind of a statute of limitations. Here's how it works. I've just tweeted the poll question. Will Steve Jobs ever come back to run Apple?
5 minutes ago, and you got almost 400.
It's a huge response already. Reply 1 for yes, 2 for no. Now, let me explain how it works. You have to, and I'm going to work with them on this because I think this is a mistake, but right now you just put at Leo Laporte and then 1 or 2. Nothing else is allowed. Otherwise, it goes to the invalid replies bucket.
And there's a lot of invalid replies.
And 1.5 is not a valid reply. Even saying 1, but I hope 2, or 2, but I hope 1 is not a, it's just 1 or 2. So we'll keep taking those votes, but right now I just posted it, 246 votes, 61% for
so does it count,
yes.
Does it count the invalid ones? Here's my question:
No.
so when it
No.
says 246, it's 246 people who did it right.
Yeah, you only get it to put a number in there. I'm gonna suggest that what they do is change that, because one of the limits of that is that because Twitter doesn't allow duplicate tweets within a 24-hour period,
if you did multiple,
you can only
polls.
do 1 poll a day.
Right.
So I'm just gonna say, look, just take the first number you see. And then that's the vote, and then ignore everything else. That way people can comment, and I think that would be a better way to do it. But anyway, give that a try. It's at Followers. But actually what you do is it's on my Twitter feed, Leo Laporte, at Leo Laporte. 1 for Steve will come back to run Apple. 2 for no, this is it, Steve. This is Steve's last time. Somebody posted a very interesting picture. Let me see if I can scroll back, of Steve leaving treatment. Do we know, now, it's been 3 weeks. I was with Woz on the cruise, by the way. And I just didn't have the heart to ask Woz, how's your buddy Steve? I couldn't do it. You know, we can speculate like crazy on the show, but when it comes down to real people who know Steve, I just couldn't, it's like I didn't want to intrude. Isn't that interesting? It's easy to do it when it's anonymous.
That's the decent response, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's some people that are very, very comfortable discussing such an...
Oh, he froze up. So, well, let me just say this. Let's not then play that video of Steve leaving treatment, because that's nobody's business.
Yeah, let's leave it alone. Let's just hope that Steve makes it work.
Absolutely.
You know,
no question about it.
Or health problem in public.
Yeah. Oh, and there he goes.
Push.
Andy's having a little trouble with Skype today. Is there anything new?
You know, he has this super fast FiOS, but I don't really believe it.
Does he have FiOS?
Yeah, he has FiOS.
Oh, there's something going on.
Never works.
Anyway, I want to thank Neil Bauman and the Insight Cruises people, because we had a great time. It was Mac Mania.
I got to get on one of those.
You can get on one. There's one coming up September. You probably don't want to go on this one because it starts in Victoria, British Columbia, goes through San Francisco, and ends up in San Diego. So you've kind of been there. Been there, done that. Andy's done it. Andy loves them, I know.
Yep. They're really terrific.
It's just a lot of fun to be with a bunch of Mac people. You know, it's not the whole boat, by the way. There's 1,500, 2,000 people on the boat. We're only, in this case, we were about, I think there were 78 conference attendees, and spouses and stuff went up to about 150. But first of all, 50% are returnees. Everybody comes back. You do one of these, you do it for life. And so you know everybody. Everybody's got this great convivial feeling. You all sit together, but you rotate around. So you know, it's just at dinner. I mean, so it's just really fun.
It really went from the sort of I would never ever have wanted to go on a cruise until I went on my first Mac Geeks cruise, and then I think it's the perfect situation because you're there with a group of like 100 people. You're probably going to meet people that are very, very simpatico. So it's not like it's you, your spouse, and then a table of 10 people you've never met, don't care about.
And he's frozen again.
I don't know. It must be Skype. Skype.
Were you having this trouble?
So we did Twim this morning, and Skype was wonky getting hooked up. It's at 28.5 million right now, and I was having trouble.
We're going to switch as soon as we can to video.
Yeah.
The part of the new studio build is video.
Yeah. Are you getting the
server.
hardware appliances?
Yeah, we're going to put the server in the basement, and you can use it too.
Yay!
Let me open this up again. Let's see if
I'm thinking of actually building a physical studio in there too.
you should.
That little cubby hole that's in the back there.
Enjoy.
I'm thinking of
Live it
building it right in there.
Like a radio studio, kind of.
No, like a little mini TV studio that's kind of fun that we can use our jib and Steadicam in.
Anyway, thank you, Neil and Teresa and the MacMania crew. And if you are at all interested in these, I just want to give them a free plug. InsightCruises.com. MacMania 12 is this fall, but then there's MacMania 13, which is going to be. Here's Andy. I don't know what's going on with you, Andy. I feel bad.
All other internet apps are working fine. It's Skype as usual.
Yeah, as usual. We're going to go to video.
I'm using copper Fios, really gigabit internet.
There's no excuse.
Okay, so it's Skype.
No
Piece
excuse.
Of junk.
Yep.
Not that you're bitter.
No, why should I be upset that something that's supposed to work has dropped 3 times now?
Well, it is free.
Last night I was doing my food shopping, and I was using the self-serve line that you have to use. And once again, the most infuriating thing happened where it just stopped scanning. I scanned like the last of like a dozen different things, and suddenly like the conveyor belt stopped, then rewound, said removing item from phone. Please wait, our manager is coming. Okay, look, there is no problem here. You have not communicated a difficulty. You've simply decided to stop processing. And I have to stand here for 10 minutes to wait for somebody to recognize something's gone wrong. And so what I did was I actually left probably about $50 worth of frozen food.
I do that all the time. Yep.
That's
what I did. Absolutely.
Not to sound like the Dyson vacuum cleaner, but I just think that things should work properly. That's all. Okay, I'm done.
The Walgreens next to us doesn't have a single cashier. It's all automated.
And that's what's wrong with America. You know,
that's a jobless recovery there. That's the jobless recovery right in front of your face.
When I was in China and they were building a fence, every single post hole had its own digger.
3 of them.
3 of them. That's what's wrong with America, my friends.
Tiananmen Square, they repaved it in 3 seconds. 1.8 billion people, each holding 1 brick. They just simply dropped it down. Boom, resurfaced the entire thing. I don't want to get political, but man, here I am cruising through the Chilean fjords, the most beautiful glaciers and mountains, and it's gorgeous. I'm looking out the window, it's beautiful, and I am glued to CNN watching this Egyptian revolution. Right. It was just amazing. I couldn't believe it. And our hearts and minds and prayers go out to our friends, not only in Egypt, who have a very tough road to hoe now on their way to democracy, but especially to our friends in Libya. And I know we have listeners in Libya who are going through very tough times. They shut down the internet. They shut down cell phones. It's just horrible what's going on there.
It is a testament to the media, and specifically
the power of Facebook.
Well, and the power of Al Jazeera. I mean, the funny thing is that the
well, that's true because you get
really
the word out. You got to get the word out.
It's that's people realize it's what's happening is a lot of people who have been tired of this are smelling blood. They're like we could do this. And they're getting that because
Al Jazeera
of Al Jazeera. And so the station that we bombed in 1991, it turned out to be the number one factor of pushing democracy forward is because they keep on covering it. It's making these governments crazy.
Our prayers and best wishes to our friends in New Zealand who've had a terrible earthquake. And people were asking about Lisa Tickled Pink, our friend from New Zealand. She is in a different part of New Zealand. She's fine.
She's in Wellington, right?
Yep. All right. Back to Apple News. Boy, there's a lot to talk about. You guys, was it busy over the last 3 weeks?
It has been.
It's really, Apple's been just busy, busy, busy. The latest rumor for Apple Insider is that Steve Jobs' birthday, which is Thursday, the 24th, Apple will announce new MacBook Pros. Of course, Intel today added the Sandy Bridge mobile parts to its price list, which would kind of indicate that's going to happen. In fact, Lenovo's already announced a thin ThinkPad based on the mobile Sandy Bridge parts. Does that seem credible? Andy, you think that there'll be a MacBook Pro on Thursday?
I think so. Well, I don't know if necessarily Thursday or next week. The thing that I've been sort of pondering is that some of the strongest supposition is that this is going to be one of the most significant updates we've had in a couple of years, where it might include at least 2 really big game-changing technologies.
Oh, really? Light Peak?
Well, Light Peak, maybe.
Woohoo!
Maybe a hybrid boot drive. so that essentially the OS stays. The OS will live at least partly on DRAM, and so so the idea is that it will give you that sort of instant wake that you get on the iPad right now. And if both of those things,
the MacBook Air,
right, and also on the MacBook Air. Also, if there's these new versions of the Sandy Bridge processors can make the sort of changes that Intel is promising, that also has sort of a knock-on effect on now saying that, well, what if we get rid of the graphics pro processor now? What if we get rid of this co-processor chip? That now opens up new possibilities for the lowest end in the MacBook line. So that's why there have been so many rumors flying around this morning about iPad 2 announcements, about new MacBook announcements. Some of them have hinted around at a special training day coming on Sunday and a possible Apple event next week. And unfortunately, that doesn't really betray anything yet, because if these changes to the MacBook are as big as some people are speculating, I tend to agree with a lot of that speculation, this would be the sort of thing that would merit its own special event and would require special training for retailers to make sure they understand exactly how to explain these new features. It's really exciting.
This piggybacks on then the All Things D announcement. Kara Swisher, writing for All Things D, saying March 2nd, her sources tell her, for an iPad 2 announcement. So you think it'll all happen on March 2nd, Andy?
I really don't know. This is the sort of thing where I have to have I think I have to have...
He has to have Skype. And I turn to Alex Lindsay for a comment.
Well, I think that I'm really interested to see if they incorporate the data pipe into the power, where we could end up with a computer with theoretically one connection.
What do you think Andy's saying right there?
To say that anything could be happening.
I'm excited. So let's break down the 3 different technologies that Andy mentioned, starting with Sandy Bridge Mobile. Sandy Bridge is a new Intel chipset, part rather, we saw based on the Core, the i5 and i7, I guess i3 too, at CES. This is a mobile version of it. It incorporates the GPU, the graphics processing, into the CPU. Supposedly has a pretty good graphics processing unit. And because it's a mobile part, it's
lower power.
35 nanometers, I think. So it'd be very low power.
Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see if that that moves through. Of course, light. We got to have some better connectivity into these computers. I don't think I wouldn't be compelled to buy another one if I don't see some serious upgrades. I mean,
I'm very
just
happy.
USB 3, I'd be happy. You know what I mean?
That's the problem. I loved my MacBook Air, which is very recent. I have an i7 15-inch MacBook Pro, which is about a year old. I'm almost nervous to see what they're going to release, because if it is Light Peak, so let's talk about Light Peak. Light Peak is 10 gigabits per second.
That's almost as fast as I need it. 10
gigabits. This is an Intel Apple joint product, I think. Intel has been pushing back the launch. I don't think we've seen any Light Peak hardware.
Nothing's been released yet. Which would tell us that Apple may do it. I mean, that's the kind of thing that Apple would want to get out in front of.
They were going to be fiber optic. Intel's David Perlmutter, I'm reading from an article in the Electronista, David Perlmutter says they're going to do it, but with copper, not fiber, because they couldn't, I guess they were having difficulty getting the fiber to work. So this is twice as fast as USB 3, twice as fast. I have to say, I really felt the pain of only having USB on the MacBook Air when I was traveling. Not because I was going to store photos on the Air, but I wanted to import.
Our biggest issue is really just interface devices. There's a couple companies that have taken have just incredible interface devices that are going to USB 3 only. And I think they bet that Apple was going to do this a little bit faster than they did. And now, we're looking at them just like, oh, I could just plug these into
wouldn't
my
this
computer.
Be typical Apple not to do USB 3 at all?
No, it would be. And that's, but what I think would make sense is a light, the Light Peak type thing set up so that it'll interface with USB 3. So you'd have a little connector on the other end. Because it sounds like you're going to be able to pipe your everything, everything, whether it's a monitor.
That's the idea. No more USB, no more FireWire. It all goes to Light.
Again, I think what you end up with is you end up with no connectors other than
one port.
You have like the power port. You pop it in, and it interconnects to everything else.
Yeah, I mean that would be, oddly enough, that'd be one of the big wins, I think, from Apple's perspective. Not just having this really new unified high-speed connector, but the fact that now we can design things that only have one connector on them, and that we don't have to cut all those holes in it or make it any thicker than it needs to be. But if it would never be all-in sort of proposition like that. It would be a new connector in addition to all the USB connectors. Initially. I know. Yeah, exactly. They would be smart enough to at least give us a transition period.
You don't think a dongle?
No, oh God! If there were a dongle that I had to carry everywhere I go, just to hook up a printer or a scanner or something like that, no.
But if you have AirPrint, if you have, if you're able to print, if you're able to do a lot of the stuff networked, I don't connect. I mean, I do connect a fair bit of stuff when I'm transferring files. But
Alex, you got to stop using yourself as an example for anything. To be honest. In fact, all three of us probably shouldn't, measure how things get done by how we do them. Oh. Except me, because I'm normal.
Yeah. By the way, this is me putting my iPhone on
what
a tripod.
Hell? FaceTime.
In case we have to do the rest of this via FaceTime.
I'm prepared. But I look at. Ready. I think my wife is closer to normal. We got the backup.
Thank God the microphone cut out. Like because
I could see. I mean,
there's squirrels out there right now whose faces are like, oh my word, such language.
I think actually you just had to scare it. You had to scare Skype with it. So now that phone's up, his connection is going to be great. You just had to.
The Skype lady's hiding underneath her desk right now. She's terrified. She doesn't want anything to do with Andy.
But I'm better now. I'm over it. I'm happy.
So, and then I love this idea of having an SSD plus a bigger drive for storage. That's what a hybrid drive essentially does. It gives you a boot part that's flash and then a big spinning part that's for capacity. Best of both worlds. So now we're talking about a laptop because of Sandy Bridge that has fast graphics but maybe a 10-hour battery life, has light peaks, so it's very thin.
3G?
No. Don't mess with Dick. No. I think Apple's learned its phone company lesson at this point, don't you?
Oh man, I just find that's like this really like my iPad. Now I know I'm not supposed to be this
10-second boot time. 10 second. I just want to finish this thought. 10-second boot time. I mean, this is the killer. This is you're exactly right, Andy. Otherwise, there's no pressure to upgrade because we've got fast. I've got an i7. There's lots of memory. There's lots of hard drive. There's no pressure to upgrade. Apple has to do something if they're going to get people to buy a new MacBook Pro that makes people go, people like you, Alex, and you, Andy, and me, go,
because we're the only ones left buying them. I mean, because everyone's I'm saying because everyone's buying the Airs. I mean, the thing is that
everybody had the Air on this cruise. Yeah. It was Air or iPad. There were very few 15s or 17s.
But that's a disproportionate sample. You're talking about people who are going to South America for a cruise to Argentina.
Okay, you're right.
To Antarctica.
Maybe
they're not going to bring the 17-inch MacBook.
By the way, never made it to Antarctica. The weather was bad. What a surprise! If I'd really thought about it. So I asked the excursions director, Martin. I said, Martin, how many times has this excursion made it to Antarctica? And he kind of fumbled around. He finally said none. 0.
So they put it on and they
$3,300.
And they think about it.
And you get to so I'm all dressed up in a snowsuit. I mean, I was prepared for freezing weather, right? Argentina's 80 degrees and muggy. So I had basically a trunk full of garb that would cover any possibility. I've got ski pants on, hiking boots. I got, waterproof Gore-Tex all over me. I've got silk long underwear, if you forgive the image, and I am loaded for bear. We get to the auditorium. There's 40 of us, including Woz, including, many Mac maniacs, because these are the kind of people who want to go to Antarctica. We get there. They say, we go to the airport. They bring out an actor, because we never saw this guy again. And the guide says, this is the best pilot in all of Chile. If this man says we can go, we can go. But if he says we cannot, we cannot. And the guy has a sheaf of papers this thick. And he really looks the part. I think it must be a highly paid actor. And he looks, and he's got it's totally an act. He's got the thing. Somebody in the crew had said, I saw the 8 stamp on this. It was like 3 a.m. This guy knows what's going to, he's looking at the papers. I am sorry to report. We will not be going to Antarctica today. So and I got a picture. I put it on Twitter of Woz in the front. Everybody's like, we're very sad, and we're a little hot. So here's their, and it says in the fine print, and if you can't get to Antarctica, which we've never done, we'll send you to Torres del Paine, which is a beautiful national park, and you can only get to by plane. So we had the plane. We were stuck with the plane because you can't cancel a plane at the last minute. You know, the pilots there.
Just file a new report.
They've paid for the actor pilot. They can't, you know. So the actor pilot now has said his lines. He leaves. We never see him again.
Because he's not a pilot.
I am the best bush pilot in all of Chile. So he leaves. He's done his job. It's probably the same papers every time. And then we get on the plane. They fly us to Torres del Paine and drive us around on a bus for 9 hours in our snowsuits. You know, the only one who was comfortable, you know who was comfortable? Was. You know why? He's wearing a T-shirt and shorts to go to Antarctica.
I think evidently he had talked to somebody and they'd said, you know, they actually don't ever go to Antarctica.
No, Waz says, I run hot. He's like, fine. Waz says, no, that was great. I loved it. And Janet, his wife, is on the bus. We're all like, and we're jamming this bus and we can't move. It's like, you know, Cartman in our snowsuits. Anyway, but not that I'm bitter.
So I'm bitter about Skype. Leo's bitter about the Antarctica expedition. Alex,
what are you bitter about Alex Lindsay?
You know, I actually often show the shows here. I am very bitter. I'm a bitter man. Today, I just can't think of anything that I'm particularly bitter about. We'll find something. I'll find something.
I have an excursion to Antarctica you might enjoy in that case.
There we go.
We can fix that.
You know, I almost went because I was like, I really want to go to Antarctica.
I should say, they gave us a refund because we didn't go to Antarctica, so the plane ride and 9-hour bus trip only cost $1,000. I wrote on the you know, they give you a comment form. I wrote I would have paid $1,000 not to ride around in a bus in a snowsuit for 9 hours. Thank you. But I have good pictures. Waz, who's in his shorts. We get out. It's beautiful. I mean, there's these towers that are the namesake of the national park. And we're standing there, and it's beautiful. I've got shots. I'll post them. And Waz whips out his $2 bill pad and is showing people. He handed out business cards. He's great. He is such a sweet guy. He cheered everybody up. He really did. Really sweet. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, apparently, while I was gone, Verizon announced an iPhone. I'm just curious how that went. How did that go?
I forgot you've been gone for a long time.
I was stunned. I almost fell overboard. I went, what?
We had to chisel Leo out of the ice, and he suddenly realized that there was a lot of things that happened in the 1,000 years that he was.
It's felt like 1,000 years. Let me tell you, 3 weeks in a pisco sour coma. It could be 1,000,000 years. You wake up and it's like I'm a caveman. I don't know. Did anything happen while I was away? Before we continue, though, I do want to say hi to our good friends, and I love these guys, and I could tell you, if I could have gotten internet on the boat, I would have used GoToMeeting, but internet on the boat is kind of slow, 24 cents a minute, slow. But this is a great solution for anywhere where you can get online. It's called GoToMeeting. They have a Mac as well as a PC version. In fact, one of the great things about GoToMeeting is completely cross-platform. So when you're holding a meeting, and by the way, this is the way to have that next conference call, doesn't matter, Mac or PC, you can launch a meeting with either. You can attend a meeting with either, completely cross-platform. I know Alex uses them. It really takes a conference call and keeps people on track, keeps people focused, gives them something to look at. It is so much better.
I mean, the thing is this we've talked about this over and over again when we talk about this, but it is, you know, we're a global company. We have typically 30 to 40 contractors spread all over the world, like really all over the world. And the only way to get together and to talk about issues that we have are GoToMeeting. I mean, it's just how you do it.
It really works. For sales presentations, product demos, training sessions, collaboration, because all of you can work on the same document, weekly update calls, any kind of conference call. Don't just keep people on the phone. You know they're going to be checking their email, playing. I got a new game, by the way.
Uh-oh.
Well, my We Rule basically died while I was gone.
Because you weren't.
Because I wasn't attending to it. I came back and there's all these sad faces.
We're starving here.
So I said, "Oh, the hell with you," and I killed it. And I started a new game. But hey, I'm a harsh taskmaster. I would be a.
You're an Old Testament sort of God.
I'm an Old Testament God. You got it. You got it.
Enough of this peace, love, take care of each other.
Like, hey,
kill your firstborn
where's my
son,
gold?
or you will regret that you didn't.
What if God got back? God went on a vacation. And he got back 3 weeks later, and there's war and famine and pestilence. And he said, oh, screw you. I'm going to a different planet.
See, I thought that was the Dark Ages.
Maybe that was. It was God's vacation.
God, I'm leaving for a while.
I don't mean to be irreverent here, but that's kind of what happened. I let my people
I
down.
fear him pushing out an OS update that wipes out all my save states. Wait, I had 4 children. I had a house. Oh, damn.
Feel my wrath, Ihnatko.
I don't even have a high school diploma anymore. Oh, I got to start all over. Oh, this sucks.
There is no safe state in life. Go to meeting.com/MacBreak if you want to try this free for 30 days. Go to meeting.com/MacBreak. Our friends from Citrix put it together. We'll see them at South by Southwest. We're going to have a lot of fun with them. So this iPhone, Verizon iPhone. First of all, I see Bob Levitas, Dr. Mac's review in the Houston Chronicle. He said drops calls at the same rate as the AT&T version. Is that what we're finding?
I haven't found anything, I have to admit. I don't have one yet. So I haven't done any.
Andy, have you reviewed it?
Yeah, I reviewed it last week, and I think we're going to have to wait a good solid 2 or 3 weeks before we get any sort of hard data on it, on the actual network performance. And even then, it's really going to be irrelevant because it's only relevant to people who are using the phone in the exact same places where I tested it or the other reviewer tested it. The only things that we know that I could tell for sure that I'm willing to stand by is that I went to about 3 different metro New England areas. All 3 places, the AT&T network was faster. In terms of uploads, it was just incredibly faster. There were fewer. I didn't find any dead zones between AT&T and Verizon. I did find more places where Verizon signal was stronger than AT&T. But honestly, just if I were looking at the 2 things as a consumer, it would really be a push. It would still come down to, let me take these 2 phones to my house, let me take these 2 phones to my office, whichever one gets better signal in those 2 specific places would be the one to go on. We've yet to see any really good evidence that the Verizon network, the Verizon will be authoritatively a better phone to get than the AT&T one.
I hear we did live. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that to you, Andy.
It's okay.
Ghosted you.
It was sort of like 10 minutes ago when you had the wide shut on.
Sorry, I'm still getting used to the switcher. It's been a long time. I did notice that we did live coverage of the launch. I hear there wasn't really there were no lines.
Yeah, no, there was
nothing.
It was like, okay, and then we bought the phone. Well, I think part of it is, they did this kind of tiered online purchase, and then they said, okay, well, we sold those out, and then we don't know how many there were. There could have been 100, but they did that on February 3rd, and then they did another. Then they did on February 10th. It was kind of broken up. Yeah. So,
and then I saw Marco. I think it was Marco Ahmed who wrote Instapaper, and he put an interesting blog post from Marco. Because he said Instapaper sales are very consistent. It's consistently in the top 10 of productivity apps on iOS, both iPad and iPhone. And he said we get some spikes. We get spikes when a new product comes out. We got a spike on Christmas Day. Our biggest spike was Christmas Day. Figures. A lot of new phones, a lot of activations, probably a lot of new iPads. And then he showed the graph of Verizon iPhone release day. Nothing.
Well, so
his thesis was, and I thought I'd like to know what you guys think. His thesis was, it's not that they didn't sell a bunch; it's that the people who bought them already had iPhones. It wasn't new iPhone people; it was people who already had the app if they wanted the app. And I think his point is kind of valid, which is that the people on Verizon who don't have iPhones are the kind of people who aren't going to, or waiting till their 2 years are up. They're not the kind of people who go out and get phones. There's a very small number of people who were not buying an iPhone because they couldn't go to AT&T. It was mostly that, if you really want an iPhone, they changed. But mostly it's people who just were waiting every 2 years, and so they're going to wait.
Well, and I think that the issue is that and what this has been a secret to Apple's, part of the secret to Apple's success is that, Mac users are crazy. Like iPhone users and Mac users, where they, the idea, I was talking to somebody last night about the fact that I was going to, when the new iPad comes out, I'm going to get it. And he was like, and what are you going to do with the iPad that looks brand new? And I was like, my wife will take that one and I'll, get another one. But that's a very common thing, I think, for, iPhone users. It's the type of person who jumped on the iPhone. But I think the other issue is I don't think it's that compelling. I didn't feel any temptation to do it. And this is not the time to buy.
The presumption was that, Andy's dropped again. Let me call him back. The presumption was that there was huge pent-up demand from those Verizon folks who wanted an iPhone but were unwilling to go to AT&T, and I think we just didn't see that demand materialize. Or maybe, and this is what Marco also said, their geek friends said, "Wait, there's going to be an iPhone 5.
Right.
Just wait."
Well, that's my thought is that why would I get one right now? I mean, if I have an iPhone 5
anybody who's paying attention will realize that. But
and those would be the people who would jump right on.
The person whom you're trying to reach is currently unavailable.
Oh,
Please leave a message after the beep.
I guess the Skype lady came out from under her desk.
She says, "I will return him after I've tortured him."
So let me try FaceTime. Josh Johnson is in the studio. He's the that Josh Johnson, the Instagram man. He didn't start Instagram. He's just made it basically his personal training facility for photography. He's a wedding photographer. He's traveling around the country, 10 stops by train. I love that. It's his whistle stop tour, doing Instagram photo shoots, things like that, photo walks. And so you've got a Verizon iPhone. They can't hear you, so I'm going to translate as you're talking. No, that's all right. Well, yeah, Josh, just stand over. You just have to lean over Alex's shoulder.
That's good.
So tell me what your experience. So this is the Verizon iPhone you're holding.
I have both the AT&T and the Verizon.
Well, now this is the best test of all.
And I wish that I was all the time on Verizon.
It's that much better.
It's that much better. I would have Edge 1 bar, real slow, and then Verizon would have 3G 5 bars very often.
Interesting.
From Atlanta, New Orleans, Chicago, LA, and then up.
But as we've learned, bars aren't necessarily meaningful. Did you make calls? Did you drop calls? Did the calls work? That's the kind of thing we want to. Yeah. See, well, they're good. Another you're like Alex.
No, the internet connectivity much quicker, much more reliable on the Verizon. Even though I would have 3G, it would be slower.
Right. So. All right. Well, good. There's a pretty good. Testimony to the value of the Verizon.
Well, and I think it may be very valuable. I think that the issue is that a lot of us are in contracts. The other people know that if we buy one now, most likely it'll be outdated in 5 months. And then we also don't know if everyone bought in. The fear is that then Verizon will have the same problems that AT&T has. So there's a whole lot of things that I think a lot of people are just kind of hanging out. I think that it might be a lot of iPhone users bouncing over, but I think that also there's probably not a lot of sales. I mean, not in the kind of numbers that we've seen in the past with iPhone launches. There's nothing new about this iPhone.
Can I tell you what a pain in the ass it is to set up FaceTime? Have I mentioned that? I'm trying to get Andy back. I'm going to take him at his word that he wanted to use FaceTime. Let's see. Andy, I'm Leo at, well, you know my email address. Use that. I wonder what Andy's address is. Yeah. Hey. Okay. I don't know what to do.
He's no there?
Well, we got the Skype lady.
She's got him. Skype lady has got him right.
She's duct taped him into his chair and is right now trying to feed him Pepsi. Hey, there's Mr. Knott. Did you want to FaceTime, my friend?
If you want, I'm starting to lose faith in Skype at this point.
Let's see.
It turns out I'm one version behind on the updates. Maybe that's why I did do a complete restart. I shut down the whole machine and restarted.
I think that's going to be good enough. That's the chicken dancing and with the voodoo thing that usually works pretty well.
Okay. But before I get out of this chair again, I'll install the update. It's only one behind, but who knows? Happy.
You're doing good. You're holding up there. You haven't thrown anything yet, at least as far as we know.
You haven't complimented me on my new tactical jumpsuit.
Oh, let me see. Oh, you got the jumpsuit.
Exactly. It's my new 511 internet tactical jumpsuit. It's got pockets everywhere.
Stand up. Let's see it. Do a little turn on the runway.
Yeah. I don't have enough.
I am too sexy for my hat.
I can.
Too sexy for my jumpsuit. Yeah. Too sexy.
Yeah. So I got pockets here. Okay. Got pockets here. Got gun mag pocket here. Gun mag pocket here.
Does it say FBI on the back or anything like that?
No, because my operations are so covert and so hush-hush that they don't even want to know what three-letter agency I'm built with.
I got a question for you, Andy. What kind of guns do you put in your gun pockets?
I got a Baby Ruth in the left one and a Payday in the right one.
Well, Alex, I'll tell you, it depends on the contract. It depends on the nature of the business. Now, some I really want to have distance. I want cover. But the other times, you really want to send the message with every single bullet you send. And that's when I go for the old TL441. Now, it has the mag clip only holds 6 in the clip, 1 in the round.
Can I just say the last time we had a gun discussion because of that book about the M16 or no, about the Kalashnikov that you did? We got email from people who were like, well, as you might know, the Kalashnikov it was like the M16 was never intended for. Anyway, let's not go there. I'd love your jumpsuit. You
Thank you.
It doesn't look anything like the kind of jumpsuits that little old men wear.
Exactly. It's not the cruise wear that like Mr. Costanza would have.
No, in baby blue it might, but in black it says to me, Tac Squad.
I might see if I get like a twit patch. This will be like my official twit commando
That's
jumpsuit.
Good. The official.
Like, keep it exactly.
You are Twit Force Alpha. Stand back. When
Commander Andy leading the Twit Commandos. Send away $4 plus 3 box tops for your Twit Commandos secret decoder ring.
I'll never understand why they discontinued the tactical jumpsuit. That's what gets me.
Oh, it was just. I think this one store was just overstocked. That's why. That's why they.
It was just
let 'em out.
overstocked.
Or it's just like with Apple. It's like the fact that they're trying to get rid of all the old stock means there must be new. The 2011s are about to come out.
We've got your patch, by the way, right here. We'll send it right out. It's an iron-on, no sewing necessary. And
I know people who can sew. I'll put that like right in the crest there. U.S. flag over here. Babylon 5 crew insignia over here. This piece is really going to come together.
How long before he's invited to RaffleCon? That's the question.
I was there at RaffleCon 1, but I was not alerted to the presence of RaffleCon 2, however.
You'll just be tactical jumpsuit man. Let's take a break. There's a lot more to talk about, including a very controversial move by Apple to co-opt 30% from all subscription payments. This one ruffled a few feathers. We'll talk about it in just a second. Before we do, though, I'd like to mention my friends at Carbonite, the backup solution that's done just right. If God's about to take your saved games away, Carbonite will back them up. Actually, I don't know if Carbonite, it works for acts of God, but, you know, fire, flood, earthquake. But if God actually reaches into your computer and takes away your saved data, I think you're probably out of luck because he probably, you know, has means and ways. Carbonite is a great backup solution. Look at, we have a coupon code. Let me just, that would be a typo in the lower third there. Let's just add an
I like to use a lot of coupon codes myself.
add an end to that coupon code.
I think coupon is actually a much better word.
It is. Well,
it makes me feel like I'm getting more than
Groupon.
Yeah.
Carbonite is a backup solution that is that uses the cloud. It's automatic, which is, I think, really important backup. PC or Mac, by the way. It backs up all the data on your internal drive for one flat rate. So you don't have to worry if you've got a 500 gigabyte or a 2 terabyte drive. It doesn't matter. It will back it all up. Now, it does use your internet connection, so you probably don't want to back up 2 terabytes worth of data.
Unless you're at Starbucks.
Use their bandwidth. Use their bandwidth, given the caps that various people have. But it's great. But, you know, I don't use it that way. I back up my critical data, and that's what I back up, and that's what I would recommend Carbonite for. It's safe. Your files are encrypted using SSL. Even if you're at a Starbucks, it's safe. You can further encrypt it using triple DES or Blowfish so that nobody can see the data except you. It's easy to use for a novice or a full-fledged geek like somebody in this room. It's automatic, so you don't have to remember to back up any solution. I can tell you right now that you have to remember anything is not going to work, because what if you're in a pisco sour coma? Then what? And the best part is it really is kind of remote access for your files, because the stuff's in the cloud. You can access it anytime. You don't have to wait for a disaster from any computer you just log onto your Carbonite account, or on your iPhone or BlackBerry. They've got free apps. So your data is going with you at all times. Carbonite, it's like, you know, it's cloud, it's backup, but it's also cloud access to your data. Carbonite.com, try it free for 2 weeks. Use the offer code MacBreak. If you decide to buy, use the offer code MacBreak, and you'll get 2 extra months, just $55 a year for unlimited backup for you for 14 months. Carbonite.com, use the offer code MacBreak. We love it, and I know you'll love it too. I got a lot of questions about it. Now that Mozy has decided that they can't do flat rate pricing, a lot of people are turning to Carbonite, and I think a very, very good choice. All right. So, can you summarize what happened with this subscription thing, Alex Lindsay? Apple announced.
So, a lot of people have wanted a subscription. So they've been talking about it.
This is an in-app subscription.
In-app subscription.
So right now, I get the New Yorker application, and I can buy an issue. But what I'd like to do is tie it to my New Yorker subscription,
which you will be able to do. So that's not
it's for publishers.
This is So this is a subscription, and so you will be able to. And now there have been subscriptions already. I mean, we're getting we're not subscriptions, but services like the Kindle. Like I can buy stuff on Amazon, and I can use it on my iPad. I can subscribe to magazines. I can do these are all now.
Kindle
I can subscribe.
does it. Yeah, and they charge 30%, just like Apple's proposing, right?
Well, I'm not sure what they're charging for.
Actually, Amazon may not do that. I don't know what Amazon's deal is on subscriptions.
But they're reselling that. But the issue is what Apple started. Apple was very lax about this, and now they're tightening it all up with the subscription plan, which is Apple saying, here's the deal: if you bring your own subscribers, you keep all the money. So if they're buying it from Amazon.com, if they're buying it from NewYorker.com, or NewYorkTimes.com, that money belongs to you, and they can still use the app, but you have to provide the same access to that subscription inside of the app or the App Store, so if they, and it has to be the same price or better, so basically the same price.
That's the sticking point.
It wouldn't work otherwise. So the thing is that
why wouldn't it work?
Well, if they were charging you 30%
what if it cost more in the Apple Store?
Well, then no one would do it, and that's the reality. Here's the app. I mean,
I guess you're right. Nobody would do it.
No one would do it. And here's Apple's argument is, you walk into Borders bookstore. Well, you used to walk into Borders bookstore, right? But you walk into a bookstore. Sorry, in
case you missed it, they declared bankruptcy.
Yeah, and so you won't be able to do it for much longer. But do it right now because it's cheap. But if you go in there and you buy a magazine at Borders bookstore, at the storefront that they built for you, you get they're going to take 20%, 30%, maybe 50% of that.
Usually it's 50%. When you write a book, I know as a book author that the bookstore takes half, right, Andy? Takes half of the money.
Yeah.
Because my royalty is based on the 50% that the publisher gets.
Right. So Apple's saying basically we're providing that storefront. We are providing this access to our customers, and we want our 30%. Okay. And basically and so the issue is, I mean, the publishers are kind of, some of the publishers are a little upset, but that's not really the big issue.
The big
issue
for the most part, the publishers like this.
They understand the model. They've seen this model before.
And they're happy they could finally do this.
Exactly. It's the
Now, there was one sticking point, which is the publishers weren't going to get subscriber information. Has that been changed, or is that still the case?
I don't believe they're going to get subscriber information, but that would be Apple's argument for that, is that when someone buys a book at Borders bookstore, you don't get that information either. We don't have to give it to you. So so
that's fair.
So the issue is the people that are really upset are people who provide subscription services. So Last.fm, people who are doing
what they call SaaS, software as a service.
Yeah. So what they're concerned about is that you're able to that they are taking 30%. That's their 30%.
Well, I'll give you an example from the blog of a great little program on the Mac called Tiny Grab. And they're very concerned because they offer, it's like Dropbox. They offer a screen capture and sharing service. Dropbox would be affected as well because Dropbox's whole model requires that you subscribe outside. And then now you have software as a service, which is included on your iPad. And they're all very concerned that this is going to knock them off the iPad.
Now, here's the question, though, is that I think the big question, and what I think as someone I have a membership service, and so I'm looking at this very carefully.
This would affect you.
Well, I don't know if it's going to affect us yet, but it only affects us if we provide membership directly, into the application, which is I may not do because of this. But the point is that is Apple going to bring you that many more customers, that it makes sense for you to pay that 30%. Now, if you can't change the way that you're paying the people that you have to pay, and that 30% is your only margin, then you're in trouble. But if you're able to tell them, we're going to take our 30% after Apple takes its 30%, then it's just everyone gets a little less money except for Apple.
Readability also was a little upset because they actually got blocked, right?
Right. When Sony got blocked.
So Sony got blocked.
Yeah.
And when Readability got blocked, the information that they got from Apple was that they were violating this subscription deal. They were offering lower cost subscriptions outside of the app.
And so, and it looks like Apple's going to be they're going to be sticklers about this. This is, they're really going to be, they, as far as they're concerned, we built this.
But readability is, I guess you could say readability is a publisher. But so somebody wrote, a Mac Rumors reader wrote Steve Jobs saying, well, Steve, clarification, please. Is this going to prohibit SaaS companies from doing business on the App Store? Interesting that Steve responded. We created this, typically succinct. He sent it from his iPhone. Quote, according, if this is to be believed. I always have to say this because who knows who these really come from. We created subscriptions for publishing apps, not SaaS apps. Period. So he says TinyGrab, Dropbox, Pandora, Rhapsody, nothing to fear.
Yeah, but we're skipping over a really, really big thing here. You have so many digital publishing services that do not have 30% of profit built into their business model already. They cannot work under these conditions. So essentially what Apple is saying...
That's what TinyGrab was saying. It said, we can't do that. We can't afford it.
Well, no, also Amazon's saying it. Also, excuse me, the Rhapsody streaming music service is saying it. What they're basically saying is that the upshot of this is that either Amazon and Rhapsody and these other services can either lose a huge amount of money on every single sale they do and comply with everything that Apple wants them to everything Apple wants to do and serve their customers as well as they possibly can, or they have to remove an incredibly useful feature that every user will appreciate. So what's going to happen is that we're going to see companies like Rhapsody just simply remove itself from the iPad and the iOS market, and we're going to see apps like the Kindle Reader suddenly become that much more difficult to use because the only way that they can avoid paying 30 cents out of every dollar to Apple for really very little good reason, as far as I can tell, is to just remove every single ability that takes the reader from the Kindle app to the Kindle store. And so there's really going to be a terrible knock-on effect. And what a horrible, horrible time to be doing this, because 2011 is going to be the year that we see the first truly credible Android-based tablets. Not just Android. There are 3 different companies with 3 different operating systems making some very credible products. They're not as good as the iPad, but if the biggest gift that Apple could hand them, and I'm not sure if they've done it yet, but they could, the biggest gift that Apple could hand HP and RIM with their BlackBerry and Google and Motorola is to say, by the way, you will not be able to get books on our device. You will not be able to get third-party newspapers or magazines because we offered such a horrible deal that Google said, hey, we can pretty much own subscription publishing on our devices by simply giving people a more reasonable deal than Apple's giving them. This could be the first really bad decision Apple has made in 10 years.
Or it's the decision that they have to make right now because they don't have a dominant position. If you're looking at from a antitrust position, having these credible iPads come out, having the Android platform doing well, that's the time. If Apple's going to do something like this is the time that they have to make these rules because they don't have as soon as they have a dominant position, as soon as they if they are able to do that, they can't.
But it is risky. You'll acknowledge that.
It is very risky.
They're not dumb. They know how much profit Amazon is making on every single title. How do they think? What do they think is going to happen? Do they think that we'll just make these rules and the money's going to start rolling in, ka-ching, ka-ching for Apple? Or do they think that? Or do they have an appreciation that we're really rolling the dice here? They're really backing these companies into a corner where they have to either say it's not just a case of the money. It's also a case of even if Amazon and all these other companies decided that, well, you know what, it's still the dominant platform. It's still a platform with a great future. We feel as though we can modify our apps and find a way to make money and still do business under iOS. But isn't there going to be that one hand in the back of the conference room that says, well, we had a great system for the past year with the iPad, and then Apple suddenly changed everything and ordered us to make all these changes that are really, really making our lives difficult and unprofitable. Why should we continue to invest in Apple technology if we have no assurance that they're not going to do the exact same thing next year? What's going to stop them from saying we want 50% or saying that we want a $20 spiff every single time a new user comes to your service through an iOS app?
Well, wait a minute. I mean, if they do that, then you can jump ship. I mean, that doesn't. I mean,
no. I'm saying that this is a year's worth of. There's so much lead time and so much investment that goes into all these products. And right now, from zero, you have the option of writing this app that will run on anything that you want. And on the one hand, you have these companies that are saying that, their track record over the past couple of years has been pretty much laissez-faire. Whatever you want to publish, we will let you publish it. And there might be terms under which we will let you access added access to our users and added access to credit card transactions. But there'll be a discussion about that. Either way, we don't have a reputation for beating up our developers. Apple is steadily getting a reputation for being the unpredictable loose cannon. That if I'm going to invest $150,000 in trying to develop this brand new business, it'll be profitable this year, but next year there might be a rule change that means that I'm suddenly pounding the payments trying to find a work at KFC. I think this is bad.
I think that number one is I think Apple will release a music service this year, and it will wipe everything else out from a music service perspective. I think that's what Ping was the beginning of. I think they couldn't get their agreements sorted out, and I don't think that they care about music services, because I think that this subscription service is the beginning of that process. I think that that whole segment to them, I don't think means anything to Apple from their perspective. I think that they know that publishers in general are going to be happy with their terms. They're going to be, not happy, but they'll. I mean, I don't think the New York Times is not going to publish.
I don't know major publishers that are happy with it.
I'm not talking about book publishers. I'm talking about.
No, I'm talking about magazine publishers too.
Well, I don't
know many that are really happy with this.
I don't think they're going to be really happy, but they're not going to not publish on the iPad because of this. And I also think that they're going to. I think people on Androids are going to. They're going to find that the Android platform is hard to make money. Everybody's having trouble making money on the Android platform except for the people selling the phones. So the thing is that I think that Apple is going down that path, and I think that it is. As someone who does publishing, and I haven't done iPad publishing yet, but I got to tell you, I'm really interested, because the thing is if these guys start all pulling out, it just provides this huge opportunity for lots of new publishers to go into the iPad, and that's what they should worry about, because they open it up, and this is 90 million people they have their credit cards, they have they're looking for content, and I think that they're going to have a hard time. If they go to the Android app, the risk that publishers have is that they're going to create a void in a very, very fertile ground that is going to give rise to a whole bunch of new publishers, which I think would be awesome. That aren't they're not trying to support an old publishing system. They are simply building, like what Murdoch's doing, like what Branson's doing, where it's only built for the iPad. It is not something that's new, and I think that's going to be. I think Apple's more interested in that in general. I think if Apple's going to pick these fights, they have to do it now, because they cannot do it later. They cannot. I think it is. I think it's a big risk. I've been thinking about. Obviously, I've been thinking about it a lot. But I think that.
Well, you of all of us have most to lose here.
We're a developer. We have subscription services. We have we do all these things.
Yeah.
And so as we look at it, I as a developer and as a publisher that does subscription services, I see it as an opportunity. The thing is when you look at, there are so many people who have developed, like, small companies that have made an enormous amount of money. Now, not all of them are making money, but in the iOS environment.
Well, that's what's compelling. I mean, that's why Apple can get away with this stuff, is because if you can work within, this is the big if you can work within the system, the opportunity is great. But there are going to be people like Readability, like TinyGrab, maybe like Instapaper, who are in the the cliff effect's going to hit them. They can't quite make it in the system, so we're going to lose them from the ecosystem, and that's bad for us as users.
Well, and I think that, but I strongly believe that Apple is what I call a 90-90 company. It's 90% of the people want 90% of the time.
It's 80-20. It's that 10% that makes a big difference.
But I think that that is the I think that Apple, that's what Apple concerns itself with. I think it concerns these things as fringe issues, and what it's going to worry about is the core experience for everybody. And I have to say that as a user, again, I know I'm not allowed to use me as an example, but I will say that from my perspective, I I just don't want to think about this stuff anymore. I don't want to go to every website and subscribe. I don't want to, half the reason, like I buy everything from Amazon and Apple because they already have all my credit card information and I can click on it.
Well, all right. That's why Amazon and that's why Apple.
But the thing is that I don't want
a point of access.
I don't want to deal with that anymore. I go and find stuff on the web and then I go back to Amazon to make sure that they don't have it on Prime. Or that I can order it on there because I don't want to deal with. I can just hit click, one click and I'm done. And I think that I'm not alone in that area. And so when it comes to the Mac App Store, when it comes to the iOS stuff, the problem is I think that most people are going to run into is this ease of use is heroin. Heroin is access to content. Now, iBooks is a much easier app to transact through than the Amazon Kindle store. But I have not bought a single book from the iBook store since I stopped testing iBooks because the Kindle store has way more content. It's worth it's worth going through that extra 12 seconds worth of trouble to make sure that I get every single book that I ever want.
I stopped even looking at the iBook store for that reason, and that's bad for Apple because I don't even look there.
If Apple does anything to restrict the amount of content that's going to be available on the iPad, game over. They lose it. Not today, but a year from now, or maybe 2 years from now.
I think the question is also those, the user that has the iPad, what are they betting on as far as their book usage? Because I know I bought a bunch of stuff on the Kindle, but I find myself not actually reading it that often. And so the issue is, and then I stopped not only buying paper books, but I've kind of just stopped buying books.
I buy audio on the iPad. You can read it on the iPhone. I don't understand.
No, I do. I just find that I just don't do it. I think on the new format, I just find myself not.
You don't read iBooks either, though.
No. The only thing I put on my iBooks
are better.
The only thing I have to admit, the only thing I read constantly on my iBooks is PDFs
you should recuse yourself. You should recuse yourself because you're not reading books on your devices.
But what I'm saying is that I have lots of books and I read lots of books, or I have read lots of books. The issue is that I find myself on the device not as interested in reading books. Just not, and maybe that it's the iPad isn't as good a reader as
the Kindle. Better, frankly.
And so the thing is that it's, as an experience, I just find myself losing interest in that, in that process.
So that's a totally different thing, though. I mean, I think that where Apple on the iPad will start to lose ground is those moments when the typical airplane row scenario where the person sitting next to you is reading Mad Magazine, or they're reading People Magazine, or they're reading some comic book that you like, and you don't know anything about this, and you ask them, oh well, yeah, I've got this brand new Motorola Zoom tablet, and it allows me to access pretty much everything you can get in the Barnes & Noble newsstand, and I can get them via subscription. Wow, can I get that on? I hear Apple has a tablet. Can I get that on the Apple too? No, I'm afraid that all this stuff is only available on the Zoom. Well, great. Where can I get one of these Zoom tablets? That's the disconnection.
Maybe. I still think I would argue that's still in that 10%, not in the 90%. 90% of the people just.
I think you're completely wrong.
Okay. We'll stand because I just don't. I think the people who want all that. My wife has.
Let me say this. That's the problem. Is that 90% are going to love it, and it's the same problem I have with the OS X App Store. By the way. I talked with a number of people on this cruise, and people associated with Apple, I won't say their names, and they kind of agreed with me that this stuff is appealing. This stuff is like crack cocaine. Developers love it, publishers love it, users love it, but it's not good for the ecosystem because of this, this 10 or I think 20% of people were left out in the cold.
Well, I have to admit,
so loving it is not the problem. Of course we love it.
Right, and I think that The issue is that what I'm saying is not whether we should love it or not love it, but I'm saying that the trajectory is that Apple will be very successful with it in the same way that.
There's no question about that. That's why it's a problem.
I'm not saying that I'm not saying there isn't any logic to what Apple's doing. I think that
there's a ton of logic to it. It's good business.
I would think that I don't know. I don't have any inside information on how this decision was made. I would guess that there is an appreciation that there is a certain amount of uncertainty and gamble in there. But if they win, they run the table. They own publishing. They get 30 cents out of every dollar.
Are they shooting the moon?
I think that they're going to be successful with this for a year or two, but by the time that Android tablets creep up to the point where most people can't really tell the difference between an iOS tablet and an Android tablet, that's when they start to. That's when the roller coaster starts going like this, and 2 years later we wonder, wow, what happened to Apple? How did they screw up this tablet? It used to be the #1 thing in the world, and now there's like a 5% group of people, and now there's a rumor that Apple's going to start licensing iOS to run on Windows tablets.
By the way, I'll go on record saying that will happen. It will happen at least in 2 years, if not next year. It will happen. And this is what Steve would say. You have a choice. You want porno? Get Android. You have a choice. The choice is not to buy an Apple product.
To me, okay, yeah, exactly. That is a choice. But I think that this is the point at which they really, instead of sort of nudging towards a line, this is where I think they've sort of nudged towards the bad side of the line, where there's the fact that you can't still have just a button inside the app that says go to our website and sign up for a subscription, or go to our website and make this purchase. The idea that I can't have my subscriber, I can't have a page on my site that simply says that I will sell you we are still a paper publisher, we will sell you a weekly subscription. Oh, and by the way, we will also give you access to all of our content, to the digital content that's available to us. The fact that now there are limitations on how I can do that, that's weird. That's merits a lot of discussion and a lot of
It's just that when I think of my kids, my parents, and my wife, who are very normal when it comes to this stuff, I just don't think any of these issues are things that they care about.
But that's why we have to care about.
No, I understand, but I'm saying that there is a. I mean, we can. The issue is for Apple is a lot of people have talked about the closed system being a danger to Apple, but I will argue that because
they're going to get 90% of the market, so who cares?
No. I'm saying that it is Apple lost its lead in the 80s because Steve wasn't there, and because they tried to be like Windows when they started catching up, and they tried to make lots of different versions.
Steve told me when he was at Pixar, and he still talked to me, that Apple lost a 10-year lead by not doing anything.
Right.
And that when Windows 3.0 is what he said, when Windows 3.0 came out, that was it. They'd lost their 10-year Mac lead.
Right. And I think that, they have been taking advantage of.
So you're saying they're playing cutthroat. They're playing.
No. I'm saying that for 10 years, they did not take advantage of the fact that they were vertical.
So they're doing it now.
That they own the hardware and the software.
They're doing it now.
Since Steve came back, they've been taking advantage of that, and they have had a growing quarter almost every year, every quarter, since they said, you know what, the one thing that no one can do that we can do is that we develop the hardware and the software
all the way through.
We can integrate that, and we're going to make them play in our briar patch. We're not going to play in their briar patch
until the Department of Justice gets a hold of it.
But they'll have to get a lot of lead. And the thing is when more Androids are being sold than iPhones, which is happening right now.
They love it. They love that.
This is the best thing that could have happened.
You're absolutely right.
Because the thing is that it is a very, very difficult legal decision.
Microsoft said this for years. Oh, we're not a monopoly. There's Apple.
Right.
Microsoft kept Apple alive during the horrible Spindler and Emilio years, just so they could say, "Oh no, you have a choice."
And the thing is that it would be as if Apple had 55% and Microsoft said, because Androids are selling.
Apple will never be a majority. They'll never be in a monopoly position. And yet, there is, in fact, I think that they loosened those restrictions. I think the reason you saw Google Voice, for instance, on iOS was because they were under investigation. It's not that FTC's not looking at them.
Well, and I think Apple is going to pick fights where it wants to pick fights. If it feels like it can ease up, and I think we're going to probably see some easing on this.
Is this one of the things that President Obama talked about when he talked with Steve Jobs last week? No. He said, "Can you give me some money?" That's what he said. He said, "I'd like a little cash, please." All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, our poll results, at least the first hour of our poll, and our picks of the week. Oh, but one more thing, Andy. Andy wants to know, where's my Apple wristwatch? Great article in Mac User. Actually, the Mac User column in macworld.com. That's confusing. Wasn't there a magazine named Mac User?
It's a damn good trademark. It's a good idea just to keep that alive, keep that associated with the mighty Macworld.
So I have to tell you, Steve Wozniak, Janet Wozniak, and about a dozen other people are wearing iPod Nanos with rubber wristbands. It was a very big fashion trend on Mac Mania.
Yeah, it's like I love that idea, and I saw that really awesome Kickstarter project for this really great metal one.
But Griffin's make one. Everybody's doing it now.
I'll tell you something though. I kid you not, for 2.5 years, I wore a series of wristwatches that could not be operated, would not tell you the time until you touched them. One was a Millennium Falcon
wristwatch. And this is one of them,
by
the way.
Yeah. There you go. It was like the Millennium Falcon, and you had to tap this to get the top of the Millennium Falcon to pop open so you can see the dial. Then there was a wrist PC that had like an Oreo cookie stack of lithium batteries to run on, and so you had to actually push a button. And you know what? I went through too many airports having to like rub my watch on my chin to find out if I'd be making my flight to ever be interested in a watch that I have to touch in order to find out what time it is.
Dr. Mom says her favorite is a company called wristjockey.com. You can get any kind of watch band you want, including, look at these, the expandable metal ones, the leather. Everybody I saw was wearing rubber. I didn't see any lunatics. That was the one that was on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that, unfortunately, companies like Griffin jumped on the bandwagon before Lunatic could get out there.
But you're kind of stuck with the clock that they gave you, right? I mean, you're not really. Yeah. That's the only issue. I mean, if you could really push a button, I'd be more touchy. I mean,
but Andy, isn't it true nowadays that we all really mostly rely on exactly what you just said, which is a watch that we have to press a button? It's called our cell phone.
Well, the weird thing is like the market for these has not gone down with the development of PDAs and cell phones and all these other cool things. There was a time when I was really frustrated that I could not, after finally decided that I want to have a normal wristwatch again. I had not bought digital watches in like 3 or 4 years, and said, "Well, this is great. I haven't even been looking at this for 3 or 4 years. I bet now there's like a hologram model, and it'll actually like run like 4 different operating systems. It'll play 12 games." And when I went back, the most exciting feature was that now instead of storing 50 phone numbers, it stores 100 phone numbers. And that's when I switched back to I'm just going to get the simplest analog watch I can possibly get. And so oddly enough, whenever I'm at these trade shows or even at like developer shows with some of those geeky people on the planet, A, they almost all wear watches. B, they are almost never digital. They are just, what time is it? Great, I'm done. So I think that, I don't think that's a factor really.
Yeah. You mean like I do pie face? You mean like this one even has Roman numerals to make it even less intelligible.
See, this,
here you go.
This one's the hybrid.
Oh, God, of course, Alex would have a watch that has digital and analog.
And they can be separate, and you can change the time zone.
And that's a nice watch. I like that one.
Oh, this one is the Swiss Railway watch, which I bought specifically because it has like the clearest hands, the clearest dial.
That's a nice watch.
Known to mankind, and it's actually based on the actual clocks that you get on the Swiss rail system.
So it's always correct.
And it's not terribly expensive either. It's like a $100 watch. It's not like really super fancy. And it's like the best watch I've ever had.
Chocolate. Yum. All right. So by the way, we completely bypassed the point of your article.
I'm sorry. The point of the piece was that I really want Apple to like just be goofy again. And stop being and not necessarily make something that is strategic, that integrates with everything else. I want them to have a team that has their own special little office, like a little pirate office.
Yes.
And they've been tasked with only one goal: build us something cool that we can retail for no more than $49. And whatever you want to make it do, that's fine. But make sure it's cool and $49. And so the idea of even with the most coolly designed $49 wristwatch, it doesn't have to integrate with iTunes, doesn't have to tell you what your phone call is coming in. Just the idea that we had this idea of this really cool manufacturing technology where you could build the entire thing out of glass, this special titanium infused glass with like magnetic beads inside, like a square on the front of it that are electrically like moved from one side to the other to tell you what time it is. $49. Done. Sold.
You know what they need is instead of a Genius bar, what Apple needs is a propeller head bar. That's like or some kind of or the Geek bar that is just like these little products that are $49. You can just go over and decide if you want to buy them or not. It's like a little section saying, we don't really condone this, but a lot of our engineers have had some fun with it, and if we sell enough of them, maybe it'll move into the rest of the
like
store.
iPod socks. Actually, I think Apple should test its mighty marketing clout by announcing and selling a product that does nothing at all but looks great on your coffee table.
Yeah, that's why the example I cited, like the coolest, in many ways, the ultimate Apple product is the Apple Design Award, because all it is, it's a box with an Apple logo on it that glows white. It has no function but to promote the Apple logo.
Remember,
I thought that was the Cube. The Cube was
the Cube. I had one of those.
I had one too.
Somebody some years ago sold it was a white glowing globe, And he would tie it into RSS feeds, and if this, you could say weather or stock market or whatever, and if the stock market was down, it would be red. If it was up, it'd be green. That's all it did. It was just a glowing globe.
That's an Arduino project you can put together pretty cheaply yourself. You just a $20 Arduino board, like a really short bit of code. It has a Wi-Fi stamp built into it. Then you just put a white ping pong ball over a tricolor LED. It's like. It's basically, if you want to show people how cool an Arduino board is, it's like it's the glowing ping pong ball of my Twitter destiny.
Actually, somebody in the chat room knows this name of this company was Ambient. It was Ambient Design, Ambient Devices, I guess it was. Here it is. Here it is. Wow, they're still around. Oh, now they have, like, you know, they've added information, but I liked it better when it was just a glowing globe. That was so much better. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, your picks of the week and our followers poll. The results are in. But first, it's time to tell you about Squarespace.com. That's the place to make your next website. You know, I did a talk about new media on the cruise. That was one of my picked subjects, and of course, it was good timing. We talked about. Remember Malcolm Gladwell's article in the New Yorker 2 months ago, where he said, "Oh, Twitter would never start a revolution because it's just about preserving the status quo." Boy, was he wrong. Talking about getting proven wrong like that. So it was with the Egyptian revolution going on, it was a very timely time to talk about the power of new media and so forth. But I said, and I think I would say this to everybody, the most important thing you do on the web should be your website. It's fine to have a Facebook. You should have a Facebook page. You should have a Twitter presence. You should do all of that. You don't have to have a blog, but you should have a website. Somewhere that's yours, you control, that people can go to and find out more about you. It is the single most important thing you can do on the web, and that's where Squarespace just excels. You can go there right now for free and create a website. Just go to squarespace.com/MacBreak. You see that green button? You don't need a credit card or anything. Just fill out 4 little fields there. The site name, Leo's new site, password, sexy, email address, leo@sexy.com, and you know, a little capture to keep robots from creating random sites. Now you got a site for 2 months, 2 weeks rather. You've done this, Alex. I tell the story all the time about you doing it for the restaurant that didn't have a website.
Yeah, well, and
before dinner was over, they had a site.
Well, you know, all of our sites right now are on. So DV Garage, Pixel Core, and BorderStack are all Squarespace sites, and they're.
So you like it, I would guess.
We do like it, and they range, you know, from being really simple. My own blog is just there's no custom code in it at all. To DV Garage has got e-commerce, and Pixel Core's got all kinds of special stuff. Yeah, so all that stuff is, you know, we injected all that code into it. So
it fully supports JavaScript. It fully supports CSS. So you can do a lot more, but you don't have to. You're not required.
No, and what was great was I'd be on Skype with Carolyn, who was working on the site with me, and the two of us would just sit there and make adjustments. Like she'd make an adjustment, hit save, and then I hit an adjustment and save. Oh, we don't like this, and so we're just playing with it. We're not typing code. You know, it's all WYSIWYG. We're kind of moving things around. And then we got to where we liked it. And then there's like, oh, we need to add a couple extra things. So we hired somebody to write the code for that and make it work.
Squarespace.com/MacBreak. Try it free for 2 weeks. If you decide to buy, use the coupon code MacBreak. You'll save 10%. Oh, I'm sorry. You won't. No, you should have jumped when you had a chance.
No.
It doesn't matter. It's $12 a month. So it's, I mean, and look, you're getting hosting and software, and that's kind of key to all of this. This isn't just.
And the thing is, it's not just hosting on one server.
Hosting.
It's like this is a cloud host. So no matter how hard you get hit, it doesn't. It's not
they use a pretty sophisticated Java virtual hosting system that just turns on bandwidth as needed.
Right.
Try it free. Squarespace.com. You got to have a website. You know, it's fine to have that Facebook page and all that other stuff, Google profile. But I told everybody in the class, I said, look. Facebook could take it down. Flickr could take you down. Twitter could, you got to have something you own that you can send people to, and ultimately that means your own website. For a blog or anything else, photographers too, squarespace.com/MacBreak. Give it a try today. We love them. All right, let's see. Who wants to start here? A show of hands. Alex, Andy. Wait a minute. Alex is pulling out something hard, and I have one of these.
I like it.
You like it?
I like it.
It's an iPad case.
Yes. It's an iPad case. This is by Modular.
Nobody's ever brought us one of those before.
Exactly. This is modular, and they gave me one to play around with a little bit, and so I've been using it for the last couple weeks, and I really like it. So here's how this works.
Okay.
Do you want to have?
Oh, I could show it on my special close-up cam.
Probably
you
can just watch it here. Here,
you hold it up there.
Yeah.
So I'll describe it for our radio audience.
So first of all, it's a nice hard case, and so you feel like you can, it's pretty protective. You can pull the front off.
See, I couldn't when I got it. I couldn't figure out how to snap the front on. It kept falling off. So I guess I was doing it wrong. So it does. Now it's completely encased in hard plastic. Yeah, it's completely protected.
It's protected, and so then
I wish it were easier to carry, though.
Yeah, exactly. So here's the thing: you got your little hooks in the back, and I forgot to bring 4 nubbies. I brought this, and I forgot to bring anything that goes with it. But what you can do is when I'm in the kitchen, I have this little L. Yeah, so this is one of the so the reason it's called modular, of course, is because you can do lots of different things. It's modular, so you can
buy them independently, or you can buy the whole thing as a kit.
Right, you'll get a little kit, I think, with it. So here you can see that now what I've done is
strap. Now you've got a shoulder strap.
So now you got a shoulder strap, but then you can have they have a little like a little L that just pops into here. So I was making crepes on Sunday morning for the kids.
You can make crepes with it?
No, you can't make crepes with the thing. But I had
amazing.
But I had to have Epicurious up so I could remember what the recipe was. And so I had it just sitting, and it was nice because it was just sitting at just the right angle. But I just popped that in. I popped the strap off, popped that in. Then my wife actually let me put one on the fridge, so you can put the magnets on the fridge, and then you can hang it on the fridge.
So it comes with magnets for the fridge.
You can get them. You can get ones that have magnets for the fridge, and then I'm putting one into one of the walls so that I can set my iPad on the wall and lock it in. But the point is that you're not getting whole cases for everything. What you're doing is simply getting the little things that you just slide this in, slide it in, slide it in. So it's one modular case that works for lots of different uses, rather than lots of different cases that are doing it. So I think I like it.
iBookery in our chat room has a question. Is it microwave safe?
Is it microwave safe? Without the iPad, I think it's microwave safe.
Do not microwave it. Okay.
I do not think I would put it in the microwave.
He was joking. How much is it?
I think it is $39.99 for the base,
and then you get more.
And then you can get little things, but they're all like $20 and $10 and $5. It depends on how much you're getting, but it's a great little case, and it really feels protected.
And the website again?
Modular. It is MODULR. I believe that's the name of it.
Modular.com, right? Let's try it. Let me see. I'm going to enter it into the magic.
Watch.
Nope. Bienvenue dans Modular.
Hold on.
Let me just Google it.
I ruined everything.
I will Google it. No, you've just ruined the show.
I've ruined everything.
Everything.
Modularcase.com.
Yeah, modular. You spelled it right. Yes. The case.com. There it is. Yeah, we talked about this on iPad today. I think it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Andy Ihnatko, you were holding up earlier. Your pick of the week.
I was just adjusting the lighting so I could show you this wonderful new iPad app. Now, there are those of you who care much less about the Super Bowl, the NBA All-Star Game, or anything else, as we do about this most wonderful time of year. Yes, it's Oscars season. I was bummed because for a good 3 days I thought that I was going to be in Barcelona on Oscar night, because to me this is my Super Bowl night. I'm going to have a bowl of popcorn. I'm going to have 3 screens so I can iChat with all my friends. I'm going to have a little party, and I'm going to work on my Oscar picks. Yes, I am. Yes, I am that sort of person. And the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences released an Oscar app for the iPhone and the iPad. Now, your Alex's pick would do really, really well, because what I really want to do is have the iPad magnetized to my fridge so that I always have the countdown to the Oscar cast countdown clock at all times. But pretty much what it is before, it's only 99 cents.
This app is going to be completely useless in 5 days, 3 hours, 3 minutes, and 54 seconds. I just want to point that out.
Okay. So the guy who spent $1,000 to sweat to death on a bus is complaining about a 99-cent app you can only use for a week. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Actually, who knows? It might turn over again and say the next Oscar telecast is in 365 days.
Exactly. But it's not obviously it's not just a countdown clock. What it is it really is a front end to all kinds of video. The week before the telecast, it will load up all kinds of different videos, and they keep adding to them on a day-to-day basis. On Oscar night, I haven't had a chance to try this out, but they promised that there are going to be a whole bunch of additional cameras that are set up all throughout the complex, so that if you're watching the Oscar cast, you want to find out, okay, who's smoking outside the theater, you can actually bring up a map and tap on the camera that's set up just outside the theater, or you can set up click on a camera that's right here backstage. You can click on another camera. There's always going to be interviews going on in the press room. So I think that it's going to be yet another chance for me to become a little bit too obsessive and darling about what is essentially a love letter to people who make millions and millions and millions of dollars for just massaging their own egos. But still, 99 cents. I hate it.
They make us happy, Andy.
Well,
they take our boring, pedestrian little lives and they turn them into something fun, exciting. For just
the humble artisans back there at the glitter factory, we have much to owe them. Okay, I'll be serious. I do enjoy the Oscars because I'm the sort of person who'll be like, if the King's Speech doesn't win Best Picture, I'm just gonna freaking kill myself.
I'm never gonna watch the Oscars again.
Is that your pick for Best Picture, King's Speech?
It's so close between King's Speech and True Grit.
I love True Grit.
Those are two films that I could have seen 10 times in a row, and I actually saw them each like at least twice.
Wouldn't it be cool if the dude got a second Oscar in a row?
It'd be cool if Jeff Bridges accepted it in the robe and his Tron helmet. And just said, "Screw you! I've already won one. Now I'm going to go for cool points."
So the name of the app again?
I believe it's called. I don't know what it's called. If you do a search on iTunes for Oscars, you'll find it. I had the name loaded up on my little page of notes, and I had to restart for Skype, and I didn't reopen my page of notes, so I don't know what it is. It is in the show notes that I gave you earlier. So you'll scroll down.
It's called simply enough, the Oscars.
Well, what else do you have?
Is that it? Is that the official one? No, this is the official one. This isn't it.
Yeah.
Right?
That is the app we're talking about.
Oh, okay. So this is the official Oscar.
Hey, can everyone vote? That's what they should have. Everyone, like, right when it's happening, everyone vote on who they think should win before they
wave them off.
No, that's called American Idol.
No. It wouldn't be a real vote. It would just be you would see what the public trend would be.
Yeah, the app itself is called Backstage.
Oscar Backstage Pass by ABC. ABC.
There you go.
See, I knew if they use the word Oscar, they have to be a licensee.
Yeah, exactly. Well, in addition to getting actual use of the statuette.
Right. So that's for reals, man.
Really, really cool. Also, it's a really it's a well done iPad style app. It's not just some dude who studied a little bit of HTML5 and just put links to videos. It's actually very well done.
In the Kodak Theater, thank you, Cam. Wow. I cannot wait. I'm sitting in front of the TV with this.
Yeah, no. See, I already see. I'm planning out saying now. I'm definitely going to have a live blog window. I won't tweet that much because that'll be too much. Should I do a Ustream channel just so I could be just like talking and sharing my excitement?
I wonder if this is in some way the future of television is this kind of hybrid thing where you participate with an iPad device that gives you extra camera angles and stuff, so that there's still the TV for the 80% that just want to sit and watch the TV, but for the rest of us, this is a great opportunity.
For live events, I think it makes a lot of sense.
Cool.
Well, it also gets people unhooked from their DVR because the only way to experience it is to experience it.
Well, and these companies already know, they said last year, that that's what's propelling the increased viewership for the Grammys, the Oscars, the Emmys, the Super Bowl, is social media. It's people tweeting about it. People say, hey, something's going on. I'm going to run out. I love it. I'm going to download this immediately, Andy. Great pick. My pick is also a iPad app. It's actually one I discovered on the Mac. Well, discovered because I stole it from somebody. On the Mac Mania cruise. It's called Weather Plus. Now, I foolishly, I did a bit on a lecture on the trip on apps. I did 60 iPhone apps, and I picked WeatherBug Elite, being an old-fashioned fart. Then somebody said, well, wait a minute, what about Weather Plus? And I went, oh, this is better. It's got a little flip clock. It's got pictures. It's got a background. We loved Weather HD, which gave you the pictures of the different, weather conditions as they're going on. This does that in the background with a lot of weather information. You can click different days, and you'll get the pictures that go with that. It's just pretty.
It looks great.
Isn't it pretty? It's just purdy. It doesn't really do diddly do, but it's purdy, and that's what I like. And by the way, I can just tell you right now, it's 60 degrees and partly cloudy in Austin, Texas.
How about St. Martin?
Is that where you're going?
Tomorrow.
Jerk.
Tonight.
You jerky jerk.
Oh.
I love St. Martin.
I've never been there.
Oh, you're going to love it. Are you going to the Dutch side or the French side?
Dutch.
Yeah, I think it's a little safer to eat the food on the Dutch side.
Why?
I had a bad clam on the French on Saint Martin.
Oh, there we go.
But you're going to St. Martin, and I think the Dutch are a little more scrupulous about the cleanliness of their kitchens. I just thought that. But anyway, you may ask, in fact, I wish you would, why, Leo, do you have Austin's weather forecast?
Oh.
Ho, ho,
Ho, ho, ho.
ho, ho, ho. You have St. Martin's because you're going to St. Martin. I have Austin because we're going to South by Southwest March 12th and 13th. We will be broadcasting live once again from South by. That's the place that I very foolishly crowd surfed last year.
That was classic internetness. Internet media. That's like one of the things that we're going to look back on. And then there was the first live crowd.
As the kid says, it was epic. But this year I probably won't be doing that. We are going to be there. We'll cover the parties live. We do have the Live View backpacks. We're going to have 2 of them. Tom Merritt will be there, Sarah Lane and I, and we will get Brian Brushwood will be giving you live coverage. It's going to be so much fun. And I will be. We're going to do for the first time ever a live twit in Austin on Sunday, March 13th. So here's the deal: we're going to be at Momo's, which is a great club in Austin. It's not on 6th. It's a little bit of a walk, but you can get there. It's absolutely free. Starts at 1 o'clock. The tech guy from Momo's. I'll do the radio show. TNT with Tom Merritt at 4 o'clock. And then at 5 o'clock, we've got a twit, and some of the greatest people who've ever been on twit will be there. It's going to be one of those giant panel things. And then at 7 o'clock, a twit meetup, all at Momo's. And then we'll continue with the South by coverage. Tom, Sarah, Brian, me, Gina Trapani and Jeff Jarvis will also be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you will join us for our live coverage of South by.
I'm jealous.
Rapidly becoming one of the most fun conferences of all. I really enjoy South by Southwest.
It's a great conference. If I didn't have to work, I'd be there.
Yeah. You were going to be where?
I'm going to be in Half Moon Bay.
Oh, watch out for the food in Half Moon Bay because I had a bad clam there. Hey, thank you all for being here. It's great to be back, but thanks very much to Andy and Alex for filling in while I was gone. Thanks to Tom Merritt for filling in on many of the other shows, too. And for a very dedicated crew of people here at the Twit Cottage who worked really extra hard while I was gone because all they would get from me is twice a day because I had very little access, incomprehensible messages saying, do this, do that. They would try to figure it out. And it really, I'm sure, was very difficult. So thank you all for holding down the fort. And thank you for being here. Don't forget, we do this show live. The pre-show begins at 11 a.m. Pacific.
Red carpet coverage begins.
yeah. It's pretty much, it might as well be Joan Rivers and her daughter, frankly. 11 a.m.
Today I'm wearing 511 Tactical. Shoe out front.
11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern time at live.twit.tv. And now let's go to followers.com and get our poll results. Our question, as you may remember, is will Steve Jobs ever come back to run Apple? And I'm glad to say that a large majority said yes, 58.41%, 486 votes said yes, 41%, 346 votes said no. That is a great number. The voting continues through the rest of the day. We'll try doing this again. I think this is kind of a fun way to get your opinion on stuff. The followers poll of the week. Yeah, isn't that cool? Yeah. Argentinian entrepreneurs, and I wanted to kind of give.
When are they going to open it up?
So I have a feeling the crowds are at the doors now, saying, "Please."
I'm not really asking when are they going to open it up. When can I use it? That's what I'm really. asking.
Exactly. It's fun. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We'll see you next time. Now you get back to work. Break time's over. You sound like Yosemite Sam on that one. I say, get back to work there, son.